Hello, I'm İlker Berkman, and I'm going to present our paper with Dr. Catak, the Psychometric Evaluation of I Group Presence Questionnaire applied in English. That's the title of our presentation. I need to talk a little bit about presence in virtual reality because it's a kind of user experience highly specific to virtual reality experiences. It's a technology-mediated phenomenon, it's a subjective experience, and it's inaccurate perception of technology involvement. Well, there are many definitions as you see here. My favorite is that an illusion that is perceptual but not cognitive by Slater. That means that, well, when you're in the virtual environment, like you see in the picture, you perceive that you are there. You think that you are going to fall, but also you are not convinced that it is real. You feel like it, you feel like there, but you don't actually, at some point you know that you are not really there. So the presence is actually related with that. We don't have this sense of presence in the real environment. Actually, there's an interesting study about that, comparing the real place and the virtual version of it, and the virtual environment's presence was higher than the real environment, and the virtual environment was the replica of this real environment. But people felt more present in the virtual environment because presence is specific to virtual reality. So, the assessment of the sense of presence is an important thing to understand the user experience of virtual reality. This is why we need these tools like I-Group Presence Questionnaire to assess the presence. The I-Group Presence Questionnaire is a good tool because it has quite few items, and but is capable of evaluating, assessing the spatial presence, the sense of being there, related with the spatial cues and the mental models of mediated spaces, which create the illusion of the place. Well, when we are running the tests for this study, I just observed one of the participants doing that with the headset on her face, because that's an automatic response to the special cues, the horror game actually, because she was playing a horror game and she did that. That's an automatic response. Well, the social presence is the mutual interaction with a perceived entity, and you just give your attention to this, and there is an comprehension between you and this perceived entity, both on the content and both on the feelings. There is a comprehension of each other. This is related with social presence. Engagement, which is also named as involvement, flow, absorption, perceived immersion, is the strong connection with the content and form of the experience. So the story, what is going on in there, is quite interesting for you and you get engaged. Or the way that it is presented, the environment that is created in a virtual way is quite interesting for you and you get engaged. That is engagement. And realism is twofold actually. Perceptual realism is the virtual objects are experienced as actual objects and their environment is acting in the same as the real world. That is a realism thing. And the social realism is related with the narrative. If it's a narrative, the story, the things occurring in the virtual environment is plausible, true, or true to life, then you think then that is another definition of realism. And the I-Group Presence Questionnaire is capable of assessing spatial presence, engagement, and realism, just with 14 items. It doesn't include social presence dimension, but in most of the virtual environments, these three are enough to understand the user experience in the virtual environment. The IPQ was developed originally in German language, translated to Persian, and Portuguese languages, and these versions are psychometrically evaluated. The English translation, which is provided by the creators of iGroup Presence Questionnaire, is used to translate the questionnaire into French, Dutch, and Japanese also, but neither of these versions, neither English nor the French, Dutch, and Japanese versions, have psychometric evaluation. Well, the 14 items are like that. I'm not going to read all of them, but some of them are, if you just check out them, some of them are related with spatial presence, engagement, realism, and the structure is there is this latent variable, second order latent variable, general presence, which is causing the spatial presence, realism, and engagement. And these items are indicators of these different constructs of the presence. So they should be able to, the items should be evaluate these, reflect those constructs. This is what we are trying to do in the study. We are trying to see if the English translated items are still capable of measuring these constructs and the general presence, or do they cause some measurement error. And here we had these 36 participants, quite lower than the participants of the studies of the participants of previous studies, a small number. But our participants had 12 sessions on 10 different virtual reality environments. So that gave us 432 data points that we can evaluate in order to assess the measurement errors in the iGroup Presence Questionnaire. And well, compared to the previous studies, we have relatively more female participants also. So, our participants engaged with these 10 environments, back to Dinosaur Island, affected the Banner. If you are familiar with the early days of commercial virtual reality in the early 2000s or mid-2010s, these were some popular titles available on steampowered.com. We have chosen them according to their scores given by the steampowered.com users, Steam users, and also we try to achieve some sort of diversity in those environments with different topics, with different content, with different interaction methods. We were trying to achieve that too. So what we did was assessing the validity and reliability of IPQ through a confirmatory factor analysis, and we assessed the test reliability by comparing the results of the first two sessions with the last two sessions. In those sessions, the same stimuli was used. It was the first and second session was the affected Manor and Back to Dinosaur Island, which was also engaged by the participants on the 11th and 12th sessions. And we also checked out the sensitivity of IPQ, its capability of detecting differences, providing significantly different scores for different games, different virtual environments. That is what we checked for. So sensitivity is the sensitivity of a measurement tool to different test conditions. What we checked for was not gender or cultural differences, etc. We checked for the different stimulus, and we excluded the repeated sessions. We checked it on 360 data points. So we achieved some construct validity and unidimensionality for the scale, but we had to remove 3 of the items. Here there were some measurement errors on these items. They were not loading on any of those dimensions. and we have to eliminate them one by one from the least, from the worst one. We started with the realism 3 item, and then we continued with the involvement 3 and removed the spatial presence 2 items. As you see, if you check out the table here, you will see that their loading on the any of those dimensions is below 0.5. So we decided to this indicates that they are not capable of measuring these constructs. Neither of these constructs are measured by these 3 items. When we remove them, the loadings of the other items did not change dramatically. There was just a slight change, a little bit improvement or a little bit decrease, and the loading of the general presence, the general presence, the measurements of the general presence and its relationship with the spatial presence, realism, and engagement also did not change a lot. There is just a small difference for the spatial presence. And actually, this helped us to improve the discriminant validity of the scale. So the discriminant validity means that the general presence and involvement are different things, or realism and spatial presence are different things. The items measuring those are not measuring similar things. And one of the indicators is this Fornell-Larker criterion. The numbers written in bold, which are square root of average variance expected, should be greater than the correlations between between any of those constructs. So this was not achieved on the 14 item versions. It was 769 the correlation between general presence and spatial presence, but average variance expected for spatial presence is 685. And this means that the discriminant value is not, discriminant validity is not achieved. These two things are quite similar. However, when we drop these 3 items, there is an improvement here, and now it is as it is expected, fitting the Fornell-Larker criterion. There is a more recent indicator of discriminant validity. It should be preferred over Fornell-Larker criterion. Actually, this is heterotrait monotrait ratio. It should be below 0.85. So the heterotrait monotrait ratio between involvement and spatial presence was over the acceptable level of 0.90. That is a more liberal threshold, and a conservative one is the 0.85. That was not achieved by the 14 item version. The light blue values indicate the 14 item version's HTMT values, but as you see, the dark blue values, which are indicating the 11 item version's discriminant validity according to HTMT, is in line with the accepted thresholds. Well, also there is an improvement in the quality of the average the construct validity of the scale, that is convergent validity of the scale. The average variance extracted should be exceeding 0.5 for each dimension, but the initial 14 item dimensions version, we couldn't achieve that. Now removing those items also helped that. Also the indicators of reliability, Cronbach's alpha, Dillon-Goldstein's rho, composite reliability, there is an improvement in all of those indicators when we remove these 3 items. When we check out the test reliability, well, both for 14 item and 11 item versions were capable of providing test reliability. The Pearson correlations were significant for both versions on each of those dimensions and the overall for the overall scale. So that means that the first and second, the responses of the participants on the first and second evaluations are significantly correlated with their responses on the 11th and 12th sessions. Well, the correlation is not high. There is a moderate correlation, but it is significant. So there is a correlation between these two and the positive correlation between these two. They responded to scales almost in the same manner, we can say. And also, when we check out the paired sample t-test results, there was not a significant difference on the first and second evaluations for realism, spatial presence, and the overall scale. However, the involvement score has changed. Well, we thought that it should be decreasing because I'm playing this game and I played 10 other games, 9 other games, and I played the same game again, and I thought that the participants should be less involved into the repeated session, less involved into the game on the repeated session. However, we see that there is a significant increase in their scores, and well, this should be something explored further in the future studies. I guess we cannot explain it right at the moment. So, also here we have got those ANOVA results exploring each of the dimensions. Well, as you see, there is a significant difference between the scores of several applications evaluated in the study, and both for 14-item versions and 11-item versions, the means are ordered in the same way for the least involving ones and the least involving. 4 games are same, most involving 2 games are same on these tables. However, the order is not same for these 4 games. They are ranked differently with 14-item and 11-item versions, as it is the same in for the realism dimension. The rank of the games are similar for the first 2 games and the last 4 games, but the other 4 games are not ranked in the same way on those versions. However, the score differences, the mean score differences are quite low, as you see. Well, for spatial presence, it's a little bit different. The first 4 games are different. Well, the same games, but their order is different for spatial presence score between the 14 and 11-item versions. And here also there is a significant difference between the scores of the mean scores of the game. So we can say that IPQ is capable of is affected by differences between the virtual environments. It can be used to assess different virtual environments because it's sensitive to differences between the virtual environment, we can say. So, in the end, we have this I-group presence questionnaire improved by eliminating these 3 items. The measurement model is fixed, and it became a unidimensional measurement model with better discriminant validity, better convergent validity, better reliability, and well, there is a difference between the sensitivity of 2 versions, but it's a minor difference, we think. And we use the model given by the original study. Unlike the Portuguese and Persian model, we have used the original model given in the study, but we improved it. We needed to exclude some of those items to improve this model. Our study could be criticized for its sample size, that we have only 36 participants, and it's not adequate for representing the general population. Since the presence is a subjective phenomenon, we also agree that more studies are required with more participants. This is why we are publishing the results of our data set openly at the end of this study. And another criticism could be based on the thing that our participants were not native speakers. And also we, in the future work, in the future studies, also researchers should may include some native speakers of English language to assess the psychometric validity of I-group presence questionnaire. Well, we suggest researchers to use the 14-item version. Maybe some improvements can be made to the translations of the items that caused measurement errors in our studies. These 3 items that we had to remove had some measurement error. They were removed due to this reason. Maybe there some improvements can be made on them in terms of translation. And also, if they're going to make a written subjects study like we did, and items will be asked to the participants more than once, then we suggest them to be careful with the realism 1 and realism 3 items. They are worded in the same way with different anchor points, and there should be a way that so when the same questions are given to the participants, they don't read it carefully. They remember what they did on the previous session, and they can just answer it in the same way without, not the same way, but they don't read the items carefully. So this may cause a problem. We should find a way to deal with that issue also. We suggest resources to find a way to deal with that issue also. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and I'm very happy to participate in this conference, and I'm very pleased to meet you.